Introducing. Here's what's inside. This is not descriptive. You do not know what is on my sales page or what I'm selling based on what I just said. That's the importance of headlines, is because most people will read your headlines. In fact, almost every person who visits your sales page will read your headlines. However, not everybody reads all of the body text. So if people skim through your page and they read, here's your problem. Good news is, here's what's inside. Introducing. You're not telling them anything. So today we're going to talk about headlines on your sales pages. You're listening to Copy And. This is the marketing podcast where online service providers learn how to write copy that sounds like them, but converts better. And you already know me. I'm Sam. I'm a nomad and a copywriter, and I'm your guide on this copy adventure. We are on part 2 of the sales page series. So if you have not listened to the previous episode, which is about what goes on a sales page and what to leave out, start there. Then come back to this episode. Next week, we're going to be talking about Above the Fold, and then we are going to conclude this month of episodes with calls to action. These are all parts of your sales page that contribute the most heavily to your sales. And I'm here to make sure that you're writing copy that sounds like you but converts better. So I need you to understand this before you go and write your sales page. So let's dig into headlines. Headlines are your hooks. They're what get people to read each section on a sales page, right? So today we're going to talk about techniques for writing attention-grabbing headlines, and we're going to talk about what's working and what's not. It'll be pretty straightforward. So what I don't want you to do is lose readers, because when you lose readers, you lose buyers. So your whole goal of a sales page is just to get people to do the next thing, whether that's read the next section or click through to end up on a checkout page. When they're on the checkout page, that's when they want to click. Your goal is for them to click through because they purchased. If you're losing people on the headlines, they're not going to read the body text. If they're not reading the body text, they're not going to click through. And if they don't click through, they're not going to buy from you. So templates are great, but they all start sounding the same after a while. And I said in my last episode, I have a bone to pick with templates. Templates are good. Templates are great. They are going to help you get further than you would on your own, for sure. But templates all kind of start to sound the same after a while. We've seen the introducing section. Like, what is this, a game show from the 70s? Like, let's do something a little bit different. And some creators, when they make templates, do use sales psychology. Other people, it's basically just a swipe file average of their best sales pages, but without a lot of reasoning behind their templates. And then when you write with ChatGPT doesn't tell a story. So every section on a sales page that it writes ends up kind of having a problem solution and an anti-solution. And an anti-solution sounds like this. Learn to sell more in this program without the fluff. I'll teach you everything you need to know about doing your own bookkeeping. Everything you need, nothing extra, and no overwhelm. So these anti-solutions are just kind of like naming problems as if they were solutions. And that's not what we want, because we want people, as we learned in the last episode, to ride a high when they buy from you. Because when you say learn to sell more in this program, buy now, people are going to take action on learning to sell more in your program. When you say without the fluff, people get confused. Well, what was the fluff? And when you say buy now, you're like, well, I'm buying not fluff. It's not helpful. So that's what happens when we tell like a cyclical story in the section. That's the body of a section, but what about the headline? What goes into a headline? So here's what I do when I write a headline. I take a look at what your ideal client needs to know about your offer. And this is the transformation that it provides them. And if you don't know what transformation is, go back to episode 3. It was all about sales psychology and finding how to identify your ideal client. They're going to ask the same questions over and over. They're going to need to know the same things over and over before they purchase. So when you have transformation and you have client language, you can then understand what people need to know when they buy. And when you know what they need to know, you can then turn that information into headlines. These are your new headlines. So rather than saying that, let's say that you're teaching people how to sell more, rather than saying that here's what's inside, you can say you will learn to sell more with, and then you list the deliverables that are inside of the program. If you're saying, here's the problem that you have right now as a headline versus confidence is the number one thing standing between you and making more sales. There's your headline. You're naming your ideal client's problem as the headline or the heading or the header, depending on how you're using it. You're using their language to mirror back to them, which is a sales psychology core value. We are using it to mirror back to them so that they feel super seen and super heard in every single headline. So let's take a look at an example that I did for a client recently. This client was a destination elopement photographer. Super, super cool clients. Both, she had super cool clients and I really enjoyed working with her. So we needed to take a step back and look at what her clients needed to know before booking. One of her standout factors was that her team can officiate the wedding in certain states or behave as their witness. So with elopements, this is especially important because they didn't want to invite a lot of guests. I think most of her clients, she found her best clients had less than 5 guests at their wedding. It was typically parents or siblings. So she, over time, had gotten to know her clients really well, and that they didn't want a parent to be the officiant or a sibling to be an officiant, so they could officiate the wedding as well as take really great photos. The other thing was that they were local to Colorado. So they knew for people who were using Colorado as their destination, their other standout factor is that they could help them scout locations before the wedding so that the couple didn't have to rely on things like Google, Pinterest, ChatGPT, or having to go out themselves to find a location. So as a destination elopement to Colorado, she was the local. All of her services were wrapped up in one price. And for more adventurous folks, they could do things like helicopter trips in the mountains or do more accessible locations if that's what the couples needed. And then her photographers on her team have mostly been in the industry. The average tenure was like 10 and a half years. Understanding the solutions that they provide and how unique they are, they were able to say what they get as a result. So you get the expertise of a local and an experienced photographer. You get a streamlined wedding and elopement booking experience. And then, of course, there's the thing that every elopement photographer should offer, which is great photography. So her standout factors were totally different. So when we wrote her website, our headlines were totally different than, so you're overwhelmed with booking your photography. It was, you haven't been to Colorado. Like, sure, you've been to Colorado, but have you gotten married in Colorado? We were able to have a different conversation through the headlines. So instead of saying, here's what you get with our packages, the heading became a streamlined experience for your photographer, officiant, and elopement planner. Instead of introducing elopement packages, it said adventurous elopement photography. So we were telling a story through her headlines. My call to action for you today is to go look at your headlines. Don't come back to me and say, Sam, you're going to hate this. I say introducing, I say here's what's inside. Those are not bad headlines. There's a reason that they're tried and true. There's a reason that they've been on a million people's templates and websites. But I want you to go look at them based on what you just learned about what you should be doing and how you need to implement the transformation into the parts of the page that people are most likely to read so that they read the body and so that they click on your CTAs, your calls to action. Just go take a look at them. And if you think, oh my gosh, I'm not telling a story. If I were to skim through this page, I would have no idea what I offer. Start thinking about your transformation. Again, you can go back to episodes 3 and 4 and figure out, what is the transformation that I provide here? You don't have to do it alone. Of course, I am a copywriter. I'm happy to help you. You can get on my calendar at the link in the show notes. We can do a quick hour where it's just a power hour. I'll do some writing for you. That's called Can You Write This For Me? And it's at canyoowritethisforme.com. Or you can head over to nomadcopyagency.com/podcast and get the opt-in copy bot for free that will write your first couple of headlines and sections of your sales page for you. I do offer VIP days. If that's something that you're interested in, you can always reach me at nomad.copy on Instagram, or I'm on LinkedIn at Samantha Burmeister. The next time that we talk, we will be talking about above the fold. This is the first scroll of your website. And where I said that everybody who visits your website reads your headlines, every single visitor to your page will see your above the fold because it's at the top of the page. So this is by far the most important part of a sales page. That's where we're headed next. By the end of the month, you will have everything you need to know to go write a well-informed, based on sales psychology, sales page. I'm so happy for you to be writing copy that sounds like you but converts better. If you have questions that you want to be sure that I answer on this podcast, please reach out. You can reach me on Instagram or LinkedIn at the links below. I cannot wait to talk about above the fold. This is the good stuff. I'm happy you're here.